All right, guys, welcome to the video. John here with Dentist Psych. We're going to look at Timmy Chalamet today, Mr. Timmy Boy, as we call him, and try to figure out his type. And yeah, it's been a big year for him with for several reasons, and he's still got some projects to be released, I think, later. All right, let's get going.
Mr. Timothée Chalamet,
Yes.
how are you, buddy?
I'm good. Thank you for having me again.
Actor, singer, college football enthusiast, a man of many talents.
You're missing like 7, but
Yeah, what do you want to add to the resume?
they will reveal themselves over time. Last time we talked, we were like in an obscure conference room.
What was your most played artist?
My most played artist this year might have been Bob Dylan, not to be on cue, but actually,
Now we're in the world.
Now we're in the Four Seasons retrofitted as a, but they honestly did a pretty good job.
Is this what your brain looked like for a year or 5 years?
It's Bob Dylan.
They just want me singing Blowing in the Wind for the rest of my goddamn life.
Well, this is gonna piss some people off.
No, it was great to be in this period. I was thinking about it this morning with these Golden Globe nominations for Dune and A Complete Unknown, that they would, seem to have little in common, but really it's the birthing ground of the 1960s and how fertile they were that actually let me work on both of these same things some 67 years later. Obviously, Dylan was on the
Birthing Ground in the 1960s. That's it's an abstract statement. I think that's an extra intuition statement about the abstract, inception of a movement came from these two things, or these two things were evidence of that. Some abstract, that's an extra intuition also.
East Coast working in Greenwich Village, and Frank Herbert was off on the West Coast in front of a typewriter, coming up with this fantastic world.
Are the Dylan panic dreams different than the Wonka panic dreams, the Dune panic dreams, the dreams you have of like, oh, what if I f this up? What if I mess this one up?
Yes and no. I mean, had we shot this when we were supposed to shoot it in 2020, when I thought it was to my advantage that I didn't have the DNA understanding of why Bob Dylan's considered the fantastic, incredible artist he is. Sort of like when I worked on The King, and I felt like because I didn't grow up in England, Henry V wasn't part of my worldview, for lack of a better expression. By the time we got to shooting this, I was in deep reverence to the figure, but I was confident. Maybe I'm not supposed to say that, but I was really confident, and I felt like it was a relief because I've been working on it for so long.
We've talked a lot over the years about
Informative so far, just kind of expounding on the point, not exactly going somewhere, but kind of moving around and through the question, just kind of answering it in a very beating around the bush kind of way, referring to different experiences, different thoughts, different perspectives. It's informative so far.
different actors you admire, and I know it's not necessarily helpful to look at other performances of someone you're playing, but I'm curious, like Heath Ledger played a version of Dylan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you ever think about that? I assume you've seen that top.
I've seen it. I saw it probably 3 months out from shooting, from our initial shoot date of July 2023, I guess. Because this movie's come out pretty quickly because we just shot it this summer. There are many masterful interpretations in that movie.
Yeah.
He's obviously
Okay, so one thing that he's done so far, he's done it several times, is assert an evaluative word of his own value judgments onto a project, onto a person. He just called this masterful. There are some masterful interpretations, also an abstract. That's an FI thing. He's done it a few other times, talking about, this person's great or that person's great, or very, just a quality evaluation. He's done it at least 3 times so far with like 1 or 2 words per time. That's strong evidence for FI. Yeah. And then they'll offer like some reasons for that, or a TI user they don't back it up with like TE reasons, more like FE perspectives to justify their own thinking of someone. Like, oh yeah, that person's great because they help me here. He's doing it more the FI version of I trust my own quality evaluation for these reasons.
one of the actors that has shaped my worldview and my artistry the most, and a lot of actors my generation. But Heath Ledger,
More abstract, shape my worldview. A lot of actors of the generation shape their worldview as abstract. impact.
On that Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
So it's to no surprise that he also is in this world of Bob Dylan, or interpreting him.
I'm sure you're fully aware that like there's going to be a significant amount of young people that maybe know who Bob Dylan is, but they're going to discover Bob Dylan through the vessel that is Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah, that's the hope, and it's a really humble hope. And I want our cast and all of us in this film to be a sort of humble gateway to Bob Dylan. I think we did a great job. That's a subjective opinion. And hopefully it's a diving point into this world and culture and music that keeps giving to me and keeps revealing itself to me, like Time Out of Mind, which
Diving point keeps giving to me, keeps revealing itself to me, extrovert intuition and abstract. Again.
is now I've gotten into recently that I hadn't gotten into before. And if there's a world where the movie is unsatisfying to someone, but it's still a gateway to this music, still 100% mission accomplished.
I don't think that situation's going to happen.
I think it will. I think, everyone, like Murphy's Law of Reactions, every reaction will be had, to some extent.
10th anniversary
Yeah.
of Interstellar on your mind?
That was a little, that was a little slippy. No, but
Little Easter
I
egg.
can't wait for that to be an IMAX again, by the way. But no, I really mean it. I really mean it. If we can be like a little humble asterisk
Yeah.
on the legacy of, or on the artist that is Bob Dylan, we did a good job.
Do you dabble with like writing music? Have you explored that side of you?
I can't say in a serious way, but what is serious music writing? I don't know.
Talk to me a little bit about, I mean, there's so many different themes here that resonate with me and I'm sure with you and will resonate with the audience. So this captures a moment in time where, for instance, among other things, Bob became super famous and rejected that fame and realized that that was not something that he felt comfortable with. And
Right.
I don't know, does that resonate with you? I mean, I've watched you in real time go through
Right.
this.
Yeah.
And you've had to wrestle with that and deal with the positives and the complications that come with fame. Was that something that was on your mind that you connected with it on any level?
Not consciously, because I've gotten that question before and it's the honest answer. It would be like very dehumanizing to be like, yeah, that's that was the entry point of the character for me. And honestly, it wasn't. The challenges, how'd you put it? The complications of how you said it. The complications, it kind of goes without saying. It's not very like intellectual, It's just like the weird that comes with it, not in any sort of like groundbreakingly interesting way.
But there are lines that resonate with me. Like there's the talk when he's at the party.
Not sort of any groundbreaking, interesting way. I think that's more FI evaluating how he feels about that reality. Some like statements, that kind of TI statements, a couple FE statements, less TIs. He's like he has referenced a few like intellectual things and used that to support a point of view, but a couple more FE statements there. But more so, mostly FI so far. I think we might be looking at an FI hero, probably an INFP, most likely.
And he talks leaving the party how like there are 200 people in there and they all wanted like a different version of me. They all wanted that.
200 people in that room, and each one wants me to be somebody else. And they should just let me be.
Let you be what?
Whatever it is they don't want me to be.
When you walk into rooms, people want something out of you.
Yeah, I guess yes and no. I mean, in the context of the movie and the scene you're describing, a very specific community, folk community at that time, where in the scene he's in the donor class of the folk community.
Right.
It's like the donors of a student protest movement. So he's literally in the sort of self-congratulating political donor environment that any young, genuinely great artist would reflexively be sort of feel icky towards.
Right.
Okay, he's talking about environment, but he's talking about it in an abstract way. He's talking about the attitude, the belief, the structure of that environment. It's not so much the SE environment, it's the extroverted intuition environment, the different intentions at play, the political perspectives with extroverted thinking, both TE and NE there.
It's so different now, like culture. So yeah, it's a really hard parallel to draw. I get wanting to draw it as far as like to my life or to the time, but true to me visiting, Hibbing or Duluth or Minneapolis before the movie started. Minneapolis, where I was 3 days ago, it's just one of my favorite parts of the country, truly, because the people are just so wonderful out there. It's just so different. When I visited Duluth and Hibbing, this is not the Duluth and Hibbing of 1958 or 61 when Bob would have been growing up there. It's a different setting. So equally, the things you wrestle with now are much different than what we would have wrestled with then. So,
Yeah.
because culture was different. You know, in many ways, Bob had no archetype to follow through with. There's been an archetype for me. You know, media and how it's presented is changing, but the archetype still exists for me. Bob, in many ways.
In many ways, the archetype, because there's more abstraction, sort of a it's sort of a TI statement, but he's attaching like TE reasons to it. But it's at least abstract, and this guy is really informative. Just this whole time, just informing, adding context, sharing different experiences. He's not like directly to the point and then giving it back to the interviewer. He's exploring it. He's informing through it. So
Was the first of. You could draw a line to, you know, punk rock from Bob at the 1965 Newport Festival, even if the music wasn't punk rock, but the expression of it sort of was.
Also the impulse to reject expectation and to connect with your own artistic impulse.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's something that any actor worth their salt, I feel like, goes through.
Yeah, or if you have the opportunity to, because, you know,
yeah.
like
99% of the actors, you gotta take what you gotta.
Unfortunately, unfortunately. But, you know, someone I was talking about with Jeff Rosen, he said, I didn't say, but he said it would almost be harder to do what Bob did than now, in the sense that now, you know, your active rebellion, your music, your art, whatever it be, it's as much about what you're doing as it is about the response to the Coliseum. That is to say, think of like something you like, you see online, or you dislike online. What is the first thing we do is we like look at the comments. We see like what the Coliseum's reaction is. So it's different, you know. Not only as an artist did you not have to subject yourself to what that narrative would be, but there wasn't a consensus, you know. So now it's really as much about, think about it, right? Like if you're scrolling or whatever, if something affects you some way, you want to see what those, right? I mean, you do that, right? Of course. Yeah. I thought that was fascinating. I was talking about that with Jeff. He made the point.
this is really interesting. So he's describing extroverted thinking perspective, but he's not like attacking it. He's not saying everyone's wrong or stupid. You shouldn't listen to anybody. He's being vulnerable and talking about the impactful effects of other people's opinions, of the public's opinion on you, and like being aware of that, and perhaps being protective of it. And he goes into this whole spiel by referencing what someone else said again, more TE. And this is really TE here, probably a TE inferior. This reflectiveness of, in this case, the abstract concrete example of the Colosseum, but he's abstracting it by comparing it to what the comments on social media is today, is being surrounded by the world of public opinion always. So that's a great example of TE, particularly, if he was like an INTP. First of all, we're seeing a lot of FI so far. But if he was an INTP, he would be much likely to attack the validity of public opinion more. Be like, basically saying these people don't know what they're talking about, something like that. That's what TE Nemesis does. This is not that. He's describing the vulnerability, the consequence of our world being so shaped by public opinion. Okay, so looks like an INFP so far. That's what I thought he was, and I think that's probably the case. We'll look at a few minutes of a couple more interviews. Informative and abstract are the two big things I see. Very informative and very abstract. Talks in idea language, talks in big picture language, talking about the consequences, the ripples beyond the immediate impact. Very TE too, referencing other perspectives, standards, justifications for how he feels based on these 3 or 4 reasons, and a lot of FI so far also. So we'll look at some other vectors, make sure that we're that those things are consistent.
For me, it started with the music. This song, Ballad of a Thin Man, the live version that's in the Scorsese doc, that was my way in. I'm now deep in that Church of Bob, and I feel like I got this opportunity to kind of be a bridge to this music.
Has better understanding what he went through, has it changed you?
Like Bob says at the end of Don't Look Back, I feel like I went through a thing, and it was like a new guiding light to how I want to feel when I work. This theater space, this is where I found my rhythm, my confidence. It all started there. The journey I've been on as an actor, this is like bringing. So without this theater, I don't have an acting career. And without your early interviews, in addition to the interviews you have now, you know.
People might look at that and say, like, that's a TI statement. Not necessarily. It's also a consequence statement of NE awareness of this opportunity. I was able to have this experience because of this opportunity. And if I didn't have this opportunity, I wouldn't have this experience. That is a NE more so. It could be, you know, TI could be involved there, but isolated, that's more of an NE statement.
I wouldn't have jumped into this either.
I know you don't do a lot of this.
Yeah.
It's not a common thing for you to sit down with all cameras and stuff around, and so we're gonna have a good time.
I think the work should speak for itself, all the pretentious reasons actors would have.
Yeah.
But this role, and this guy, Bob Dylan, in this movie, and this is why I like to bring it into this theater space, because I feel like maybe we'll get into it, but in the journey I've been on as an actor, this is like bringing it all back home, no pun intended. But I had to will myself into doing this a little bit, because the greats like Daniel Day-Lewis or whatever, you don't have to necessarily explain bit by bit how you went about something, but
Yeah.
Informative. Yes, he did say, I think their FI users state that too, but very, very informative here. And then listing out all these other things, name, you know, bringing out names again. That's another TE thing.
This felt worth it to me. And talking to you
Usually.
felt like the easiest way. And this is the first time, not to be dramatic, it's the first time I talk about this movie or this role with anyone. Not to be cynical, but the further you go along, sometimes your answers can get watered down or you get guarded or defensive if you don't necessarily trust who you're talking to. So I put off things because I wanted to make sure the first time I talked about what's been the most special role I've ever worked on was with someone whose interviews I've watched and seems to get the best out of people, you know.
It's cool to hear you say that, like, the most worthwhile role.
Yeah.
And you said this really cool thing to me when we spoke the first time. You said, you know, I hope people, and I feel like people will consider it worthy. But worthy is not a term that gets kicked around when you're talking about numbers or box office. Or worthy, you can do something totally worthy and it can only matter to you.
The experience I had, I know, was worthy.
Yeah.
But I've joked about it with friends, just because it was the best experience I've had as an actor, or the most rewarding experience I've had, doesn't really necessarily translate to
Right.
the effect of it, not only on people, but maybe in the finished product, because I've also had more challenging experiences that come out great. So I don't think that things necessarily go hand in hand, but I do.
Okay, so good distinction here between TI and TE. You know, a TE user can they'll sort of make if-then statements, but they're like building prepositions. You know, with this reason, and then let that leads to this other reason, and maybe there's a conclusion here. Remember that TE users, especially like TE inferiors, they're trying to get to TI, or when they're trying to get to TI, they build it through these prepositions of input. So these different reasons, these different perspectives, this point of view, then that point of view to get to TI. So you can see that there's obviously some rational interplay here, but it's more TE interplay than TI. I know some of you, when you guys hear like the word I think, you say like, oh, that's TI, and like not necessarily at all.
I feel like that's a good word to revolve around, is worthy here, because when I got approached with this project 5 years ago, or 6 years ago, let's say, this is 2018, and I had just done Call Me By Your Name, Bob Dylan was this name I knew was held in reverence, and I knew I was supposed to respect. If you were in the in crowd, that's a name you get behind. But truthfully, I didn't know anything about it. You know, I thought I did a Henry V movie called The King. I thought it was to my advantage. I didn't grow up in England. And I thought that would be my advantage with Bob Dylan if we did it in the first year or 2 years, because I could see online the communities that revered him, how deep that reverence was. And I'm happy it took 5-6 years, because I'm now deep in that Church of Bob. I feel like that's my mission.
TE, aware of all the perspectives, the attitudes, held in high respect, held in high regard. I didn't have any knowledge about him, so I wasn't in the in crowd. More TE.
Is the next 3 months till the movie comes out. I feel like I'm in the Church of Bob. I'm a humble disciple, and I feel like I got this opportunity to kind of be a bridge to this music, you know, or this time period.
In order to get to this,
I'm gonna skip ahead here a little while.
On Wonka, and helped me sing grand on Wonka, and then here I would listen it back, and I'm like, man, this sounds too clean, you know? And then when we would do it on set, it was Song to Woody, which is one of my favorite Bob Dylan songs ever. It was the first one we shot in the movie. You couldn't do it to a playback because it's such an intimate scene. It's in a hospital room with Woody Guthrie and Pete Seeger. And
okay, you couldn't do it in this room because it was such an intimate scene because of whatever's happening there. Okay, so you could say that's a TI statement. You couldn't do that because this is happening in the scene and then that. But how are you going to differentiate that between an FI statement, which is you can't do that because I value this, therefore we can't because that crosses my value or my evaluation of it. That's more what the context is here. There is, though, like some of the wording is TI-ish, okay? And you could also argue, hey, he's saying this because of how other people feel. I don't think that's the case. I think he's saying this because of he understands the standards and his own evaluation of scenes like this so that we can't do it like this. That's FI. Challenging to separate between FI and TI. This happened the same when I typed The Weeknd. Other typists have typed him INTP. I think Chase and Mercer both did. That guy has so much FI from what I saw. But it's the same thing that FI users, especially like FI hero men, especially, will have these like judgment statements that sound like TI, but what's really going on is this FI evaluation. It's not about how they feel, so I think this. It's about my evaluation of, I feel I value this. I understand the TE standards of this. Therefore, we can't make that decision or we can't go there because it crosses this value, this boundary.
I did it live and it clicked. Great, And I'm making mistakes on the guitar a little bit here and there, but you can kind of fill those in after. I went home and I wept that night, not to be dramatic, but it's a song I'd been living with for years and something I could relate to deeply. And I also felt, I come back to this word a lot, I felt like it was the most dignified work I'd ever done. And dignity might be a weird word there, but it felt like so dignified and humble. We're just bringing life to a thing that happened 67 years ago. I went, oh.
FI. So much FI in that last 15 seconds. His own inner feeling, evaluation, his own relationship with the piece of music, the word, the label that captures my inner experience that only I can really know, and I'll try to express it through this label. I'll try to unpack it through this label, share some knowledge and perspectives on really what this inner experience is. More FI. Okay. Spend a few minutes on this last one here. Hold on.
All right, lock and load, you guys.
Let's do it.
You got notes?
Oh, come on.
Oh, God,
I'm talking to the greatest living director. I gotta
but
come
you see, you're
prepared.
supposed to be talking.
Yeah, well, I also have some anecdotes about the weather. In case.
Excellent.
All right.
Outcome statement, actually. In case this happens where I need to talk, I have some anecdotes. I'm prepared. I'll probably just have to skip around here a bit. Martin Scorsese always elaborates a lot in his interviews, so.
See the acting. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so I connected there, and I saw Dune, which I enjoyed, and I started to see a sense of range, And then they said Chanel asked me to do this spot for Bleu.
Which you had already done.
I had done years ago.
Right.
Yeah. At the first one. They said they had this young gentleman named Timothée Chalamet. And I said, that one I know. And we had some kind of a dinner and talk, etc. We had a plan for I guess you call it a commercial. I don't know what it is.
It's like a little narrative. I feel it's not evocative of other commercials and perfume commercials in a good way.
In a good way,
Yeah.
I think. It's somewhat different than that. And so it's a story in a way. But how to break it through. My latest film was over 3 hours. This, 60 seconds. And it's, Marty, it's only 60 seconds. The thing about 60 seconds is it's harder.
Condensed.
condensed. And
So I think Martin Scorsese's an ENTP for reference. I tried to I spent a lot of time typing him over the years. He was really challenging. I thought first it might be like NTJ, and then he's so informative, very TI. I thought he was an INTP for a little while, and I was like, no, this guy's very progression and informative. So I think Martin Scorsese is an ENTP for those who are interested.
every frame counts. Every frame. I know we're talking digital, but there's still frames in digital. But I mean, one frame more, two frame. That's the way we're.
This Fellini, this obscure Fellini short. No, I haven't. But I quickly got onto it.
With that as an inspiration.
Okay, I'm going to record a different one. I think Martin Scorsese will be talking for a while, which is his right. Let's find another one here. Look at this one. Look at a few minutes of this one, and then we'll wrap up. So far, guys, like INFP, I'm pretty confident in that, but I want to be thorough here.
We were just in Nashville.
Let's start there. We good, Zach?
Yeah. Cool beans.
Yeah. I saw you were just in Nashville.
Yeah.
So what type do you guys think Theo Von is? I've been looking at him for a while. He always cracks me up. He seems so random. It's so hard to tell, like, if his randomness is actually random or if it's sort of calculated. I was thinking like maybe ISFP and ITE developed a little, more of that complacency going on. With the SFPs, with both SFPs, their randomness can seem like abstraction. I ran into this with Jennifer Lawrence, who I strongly believe is the ESFP. I typed her. I have a video on the typing playlist if you want to watch it, but they both can be random, very random.
Had you been there before?
Yeah, once, kind of exploring. I was doing a movie called Bones and All. I was trying to do research across the
Yeah,
country.
it's my producer's favorite.
No way.
Yeah, I haven't
That
seen
we
it
just
yet.
met?
Yep, that guy,
Yeah,
Zach
yeah.
is his name.
No
and
way.
he loves it. Yeah, he really loves it.
No way. So I wandered there, and this time got a better sense of it. But it's a great city, huh?
Yeah, it's a good place. It's like a little city. It's like a little city, kind of like a fancy little city. It's almost like the Jean Bonnet of cities, kind of like, look at this outfit, kind of, but dangerous at the same. But it has like kind of like an element of like mystery, kind of. That's a kind of a weird example.
No, but you're not. Are you from there?
No, I'm from Louisiana, but Nashville. Here's what it is. It's safe. So I'll go watch some of their games.
What's their student body population? That's amazing.
Put on a helmet, girl. That was a girl that should not have been.
Yeah. You almost ran her over.
Yeah, she shouldn't be playing wide out. It's just different. But no, it's a what's it like there? It's a after the game, so they had like engineers, like how should we take this down? And then there's just drunk kids like
serious?
just rip it down.
Yeah,
and then
the level that I was
at a swim meet too.
At a swim meet.
Swim meet's the worst because you can't even.
Would be
You're on Timothy.
Yeah. Tim, like I
you
said,
went from Timmy to Timothy.
Yeah, 40s, 50s, couple ex-wives.
Then you go Tim.
Then you go Tim. I'm like, mowing my lawn all day.
Yeah, hey Tim.
Yeah, exactly.
Missed a spot.
Yeah. You're
like, oh, there's a bird's nest there. Calm down.
Sort of a disgruntled expression on my face watching my kids' sports games.
Yeah.
Because they're not playing to the level that I was
at a swim meet too.
At a swim meet.
Swim meet's the worst because you can't even talk to the person next to you because it echoes so much in the room.
I've never been to a swim meet in my life.
Even if you whisper a little, the people hear
travels.
it. Yes.
It travels.
Oh, you cannot gossip.
How many swim meets? You go to Lipscomb College swim meets?
I don't go to the. I've been at. Yeah, I've been at.
You gotta be careful, dude.
Yeah, I do. You're right, and it is. And I definitely watch from my car with binoculars, so it's not too creepy.
So it's normal. Yeah. It's totally normal. So the fact you've been doing it since your early 20s means that
yeah,
it's cool.
I'm kind of grandfathered in.
Your grandfather.
Like, that guy's not a pedophile. He's
All right. I don't know how much we're going to get from there, but some SI statements there, a little bit informative. Some more TE. I haven't commented on. He's actually made a number of introvert sensing statements, but not so much statements, but spaces as he's going back into his past, sharing the facts of what happened to him and how that shaped him. More SI, a lot of FI evaluation. Comfortably evaluating the quality based on his own evaluation, able to list out reasons for that. Very abstract. This guy's very abstract. And very informative. Also, if you're using the push versus cautious vector, pushing FI, so much FI. It's really nice to see actually. He reminds me a lot, a fair amount of my friend William, who's been on this on my channel. We've had a couple discussions of the Big Five. He's very knowledgeable in that. If you guys want to check those out, those are in my long form discussion playlist. But he reminds me a lot of Timmy Chalamet. Reminds me a lot of him. So yeah, guys, I think he's Mr. Chalamet's a INFP, lots of FI. That little like the most important moment I think was him talking about the Coliseum of public opinion. That was really, really insightful. Because remember that the inferior function is it is insecure and like trying to manage what it's worried about, but it's also hyper aware. And when it's fairly developed, they can speak at length about using and developing it. So INFP, his development's a bit tricky. I am pretty sure though he's developed down into his nemesis and critic, but he seems to have pretty well developed child and inferior too. Um, Subtype, he seems almost like a creative subtype, actually very more spontaneous. He has this. What's interesting about his energy is unlike a lot of other INFPs who are more like shying away and more reserved in interviews, and as their stereotype is, he seems more courageous, more like on the money, on the ball, like more initiative. So I would guess he's like a creative harmonizing subtype. Um, I would want to look at like creative dominant too, but I think creative is definitely one of his subtypes. So yeah, guys, Timmy Chalamet, Mr. INFP. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you around. Bye.